Good morning, y'all. This is Dooder. Welcome back to the den. It's been about 2 or so-ish months since Jurassic World Rebirth came out. And in that time, we've gotten a lot of new and exciting content coming from behind the scenes, featurettes and things like that. The community online's really gotten their 2 cents out, and I've had a chance to sort of take a step back and really digest the film and see how much I actually like it versus how much I was just hyped to watching a Jurassic film in the theater. And while I do enjoy the film, I think it's a competently made movie. It's still one of my, most liked films of 2025 so far. It leaves a lot to be desired, and there are quite a few little contrivances and, let's say, hiccups that the filmmakers sort of made in producing this film. And I think that we can do better. So why don't we take a step back, sort of recontextualize some things, take a crack at a couple characters, maybe look at the plot again, and see if we can rewrite Rebirth. Alright, so first of all, the movie's going to follow a very similar plot to the original version of the film. A pharmaceutical company will still want to create a vaccine, though this time, instead of focusing on cardiovascular disease, let's give ourselves a little bit more wiggle room and go a more sci-fi route. Maybe there's a new virus, some sort of wholly fictional one, for the film itself. This plays into the next part that I want to bring up, and that is that dinosaurs across the world, that's still going to be pretty apparent in our version of Rebirth. I don't really know why the filmmakers decided to retcon this. Dominion set up a perfect myriad of story ideas and different sorts of plot points that filmmakers could go down if they really wanted to, and they sort of kneecapped themselves a bit by getting rid of that. I really don't think that the franchise is going to be able to go anywhere unless they retcon that retcon. So in this version, dinosaurs across the planet is still very much in effect. Now, we can also have our cake and eat it too, and that being that we still need to go to an island across the equator in this version by having this sort of new virus be maybe a dinosaur-based one. Maybe the dinosaurs across the planet are spreading this new virus that infects only people. Maybe the more genetically whole and pure dinosaurs, the Masrani and the Biosyn variants of these animals, are populating across the entire planet itself, versus the less genetically pure and more hybridized, mutated versions of the InGen variants. They're going to be around the equator. Maybe have it also that the InGen variants are where the virus originated from, and the Masrani and Biosyn variants, whilst they are immune to it, they are carriers of it. That way, it also gives a little bit more credence as to the team going into the quote-unquote heart of the virus and trying to figure out how to cure it by it going onto an island that has a bunch of different monsters in it. Maybe these genetic impure dinosaurs from InGen are more heightenedly aggressive or more reactionary, and that's why there's a restricted zone around the equator still. Maybe also have it so that Parkergenics wants to be the first out of all these different pharmaceutical companies across the planet to synthesize this new vaccine. So they need to keep the operation hush-hush because it's, something that if it gets out, everyone will be trying to nab the first ever synthesized dosage or batch of vaccines for people. Perhaps the vaccine is linked to a genetically mutated strain of a certain dinosaur DNA, and the only available mutated strain of DNA that's left on the planet is with a certain individual on a certain island, that being the Distortus Rex. That could also play into why we need to go specifically to the island that we see in the film. So, okay, there's dinosaurs across the planet still. they're spreading this new virus, and Krebs' company, Parkergenics, wants to create a vaccine in order to capitalize on that and sort of patent this cure so that way they can make a lot of money, much like real-world pharmaceutical companies. This also allows for Duncan and Zora's characters to remain mercenaries, as again the operation would be under the table per se. Most likely the island that they're going to is also a restricted island for other reasons, perhaps going back to that whole these dinosaurs that are around the equator are more volatile, they're causing more harm, it's actually a detriment to people to have them be on these islands, so it's illegal to go there now. It could also be a matter of animal rights. These animals are endangered, or de-extinct animals are endangered, so perhaps in this universe any sort of interaction or harm towards a de-extinct animal could be a federal crime, much like it is towards protected species in the real world. However you spin it, we have some wiggle room to make sure that the mercs stay the mercs and the characters don't really shift too much. Maybe even the whole identity and existence or knowledge of existence of the Dinosaurus Rex is only known by Parkergenics. This could be that tie-in line that Krebs says in the film where they bought out InGen assets during Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Then one of the assets and one of the data sheets that they could have bought out was some sort of information about the Dinosaurus Rex. So that could be another reason why they're keeping it hush, so that way it's a proprietary thing that only Parkergenics has. I also want to take a couple different swings at Loomis's character in the movie. In the movie, he's just so jaded, and it doesn't come off as an authentic person who is enjoying paleontology or the field of study surrounding dinosaurs. It seems like his character enjoys the title of being a paleontologist, if that makes any sense, rather than the actual study of the animals. And then once we get to the island, when he's interacting with the animals, it seems very forced, very shoehorned in, and not very genuine. So instead of him being this sort of maybe jaded paleontologist who is down on his luck, and the only reason why he's going to the island is because Krebs and Zora convince him to see these animals one last time before they go finally extinct, or to see these animals in the wild so that you're a true paleontologist, maybe make him more of a naturalist or a wildlife biologist with a propensity towards de-extinct animals. Maybe he wanted to be a paleontologist, and then once he got into the actual field, decided, no, this isn't for me, I want to see these animals live and in person, and has been chasing that sort of desire ever since. Just gives him a bit more agency, maybe makes his sort of character beats that come out later in the film make a little bit more sense. The Delgado family is another one of those groups of characters, or just characters in general in the film, that really felt sort of tacked on as well. So maybe let's give them a little bit more nuance in the film as well. Maybe instead of having this sort of random family just kind of show up out of nowhere and be the sort of audience surrogate, let's have them have a little bit more of a twang to them, I guess you could say. Maybe Teresa, the eldest sibling of the Delgado family, maybe she's going away to college instead of just for some generic reason to study dinosaurs. Maybe that's why they're out and about trying to maybe track down some sort of marine prehistoric animal. Maybe that's why they bump into the mosasaur, because they've been tracking it for some sort of study that she's doing, and they get too close or they bite off more than they can chew. This can also play into Isabella's character and her hatred of dinosaurs, which kind of just pops out of nowhere in the film. Maybe in this version of a Rebirth film, she views these dinosaurs as maybe taking away her sister. Maybe she's holding some sort of resentment because the college that her sister wants to go to is really far away from them, and she won't be able to interact with or be a part of her sister's life anymore. This could also reign true as to why the father, Delgado, his name escapes me now, but as to why he would want to go on this one last hurrah trip, as he says. So that way he can spend some quality time with his 2 daughters before they're gone. The whole Isabella hating dinosaurs thing can also be sort of remedied and give her a little bit of character growth as the film goes on when she eventually adopts Dolores, showing that dinosaurs aren't really the real issue here, and can maybe give her some sort of solace into thinking that, you know, her sister will still be there for her, just maybe not physically. Now, this whole stance of dinosaurs being hated by Isabella, let's make that the global norm, perhaps. Maybe dinosaurs all over the planet isn't necessarily as cool as we would all like it to think it would be. Maybe a lot of people are viewing these dinosaurs as more of a detrimental nuisance and environmental hazard than anything else, especially since most of them are carrying this killer virus now. With that, why don't we take an axe to Xavier's character entirely? Xavier, he really just weighs down the film in a really negative way. I do not like his character at all, and it can be reworked to something that'll actually help the film instead of just taking me out of the experience and making me feel like I'm just watching some sort of comic relief do his thing in the middle of this movie. So maybe instead of him being this stoner idiot, let's have him be a little bit more intellectual. Maybe him and Teresa met whilst applying for different schools to study dinosaurs or to study different things. And maybe he's studying dinosaurs because of some sort of fascination with this new virus that's going around. Maybe he has some stakes in it. Maybe he has some sort of family member or some sort of agency to try and fix this virus that's spreading across the globe. Maybe he has a calling that he wants to help people. And the best way that he thinks he can do that is by curing this virus. Hell, a majority of all this sort of character nuance can really just be boiled down to one dialogue scene in the film. Maybe let's rework the introductory dialogue scene a bit? I just hoped it'd be the 3 of us, you know? One last hurrah. I'm going to UCLA, Dad, not Mars, Isabella interjects. You may as well be. College is so far, and I don't even know why you want to go. All for what? Just to study some dumb lizards? Hey now, I'll visit, don't worry. And for your information, I think those dumb lizards are pretty cool. Then Xavier enters the scene. Birds. They're big birds, actually. Just saying. I don't know, something as simple and as dumb as that. Clearly, I'm not any sort of poet or soliloquizer or whatever you would call it. But something like that could really help into characterizing these characters more and giving us more of a reason to have them in the film. Another character that isn't really a character at all is Atwater's character. He's just kind of a cardboard dude who gets eaten in the first 30 seconds of him appearing, it feels like. I mean, obviously, he has a little bit more screen time, but he just seems like this dick of a dude who just gets eaten. And whilst, you know, some films need that sort of simple character, simple sort of fodder for the creatures to sort of munch on, maybe give him a little bit of a, you know, character as well. Maybe the reason why Atwater is just so animalistic and hate-filled towards these animals is because he may have a loved one, actually, that is suffering from this virus, who's dying somewhere. And that may give him some more agency as to why he wants to find this cure, which could also explain why he's such an asshole and decides that he doesn't want to go out and try and nab the Delgado family when they're casted overboard from the mosasaur. That could also give his death just a little bit of a twinge of tragedy, and could be another interesting facet to this film. The film itself is now going to follow pretty much the same beats once we actually get onto the boat and are tracking the mosasaur. But this time, instead of tracking the mosasaur because cardiovascular disease, we just encounter the mosasaur on our way to the island to track the Distortus Rex, just because the mosasaur circles that island as its hunting ground. So once we crash onto the island, we then head inward, still tracking the Titanosaur herd now. That's because the Distortus Rex uses the Titanosaur herd as food in this version of the film. So if you're tracking the food source of your primary target, you'll eventually find the target. We still get the same scene of, experiencing the joy and majesty of the Titanosaurs, but as the scene ends, instead of, darting the Titanosaur and then moving on to the Quetzalcoatlus, we find ourselves in a new scenario. Maybe the team hears some sort of ruckus coming from the edge of the forest, and so we follow the sound and find a deceased young Titanosaur, its corpse still fresh, and maybe killed by the Distortus Rex. All of this can sort of be exposed in exposition by either even Duncan or Loomis as these sort of field experts, so to speak. Then all of a sudden, maybe out of the brush itself, we see some more predators come out. Perhaps an InGen variant of an Allosaurus and an InGen variant of a Carnotaurus, and they start scavenging the carcass. Just a little, sort of eye candy, showing off more species in the film itself. This is where then we encounter the Quetzalcoatlus as they circle overhead and descend on the carcass themselves, trying to scavenge little scraps and bits of meat for their own nests. Eventually, some sort of three-way scuffle may happen. The team is awestruck as they see these three giant predators try and fight over different parts of this deceased animal, and one of the Quetzalcoatluses gets shoved out of the way by the more sturdy Allosaur or the more brutish Carnotaurus, and their attention then diverts from the carcass to our team, and one of our team members ends up getting grabbed and brought back to the Quetzalcoatlus's nest, whether it be Loomis or Duncan or whoever. And this is where we then go to the Quetzalcoatlus nest instead. The scene plays out much in the same way as it does in the original film, though instead of just the Quetzalcoatlus being encountered here, this is also where we'll encounter our Mutodons. Instead of being sort of the primary antagonist on the island that our team encounters, they're cooped up in the Quetzalcoatlus nest, trying to sort of nurture their own nest. Perhaps their eggs, though, are deformed and likely infertile, because they are themselves mutated creatures as well. Mutated and highly territorial creatures, however. So, to guard their nests and to sort of maybe even symbiotically guard the Quetzalcoatlus nests, they chase our survivors throughout the ruined temple. A invigorating chase scene occurs where they're dodging not only the giant Quetzalcoatlus but the smaller and more nimble Mutodons until they finally escape through the same sort of hatch that we see in the film itself. Once they do, though, the Mutodons and the Quetzalcoatlus stop chasing them and sort of just squawk and roar and make a whole bunch of noise to deter them from coming back. Then they go back to their nests. These are animals after all. They're not going to be hugely movie monsters in this version. So to sort of cement that fact, let's have them not pursue our characters outside of the quote-unquote need to, that just being to get them out of their space. This can also be referred to, or reinforced rather, by Loomis, who will state something along the same lines as what I just said. Like, oh, they won't chase us now. They're done chasing us. We're out of their territory. Their nests are safe now. Sort of gives them a little bit more credence as to them being animals. On the tail end of that, let's have the raptors become more of a presence in the film itself. Maybe the scene where the Mutodons attack and kill one of the raptors, instead of them being dissuaded in killing Xavier by the Mutodon attacking them, maybe they get distracted by some other sort of defensive herbivore that's there. Maybe a InGen variant of a herbivore that we have or haven't seen. Let's say like a Diabloceratops. That gives us even more eye candy to look at, because more species the better. In terms of the film itself, there's only one herbivore species in the entire film, that being the Titanosaurus. But it also gives us a neat little edge in that it's a defensive herbivore. We don't really see a lot of herbivores fight back in this film, or in any Jurassic films for that matter. So maybe let's have the Diabloceratops in this situation win and drive off the raptors. Meanwhile, Xavier sort of slinks away and finishes pissing. The finale will play out much in the same ilk as it does in the film, though this time we are darting the Distortus Rex. He shows up, through some sort of, cacophony of different things, we end up attracting the attention of the velociraptors, and everything goes downhill from there. We get the convenience store sequence, we get the tunnel sequence, we get the under the jeep sequence. All the same things that the Mutodons were doing is now velociraptors instead. With this, and an adept showcase of her skill and her marksmanship, Zora manages to dodge the raptors and dart the Distortus Rex. Krebs sees all this, and even though he is still trying to survive, he's still just as conniving and just as slimy as he is in the original film. And so, with this, he double crosses the team and tries to leave with the new dart and all the sort of data that's trapped in that suitcase that's in the film before getting the rest of the team to safety. With Zora, Duncan, Loomis, and the Delgados trying to dodge both the raptors and the Distortus Rex, Krebs makes it out of there and jets out of the way. Eventually, our team makes it to the same dock that Krebs is going towards, and the film plays out the exact same way. Krebs gets eaten, and, the whole flare thing happens like that. Now, we're at the end of the film, the finale is here. The Distortus Rex is looming over our survivors, and Duncan lights a flare and makes a ton of noise to attract the Distortus Rex. As he does so, the rest of our survivors jet out of there and get on a boat and slowly are cruising away, and all this kerfuffle grabs the attention of not only the Distortus Rex, but another sect of animals as well, the Spinosaurs. It becomes a three-way battle between the Distortus and the Spinosaurs as they snap and try and eat our protagonists. They're not also trying to get our main characters, but also fight amongst each other to make sure that they are the rulers of the island. The team gets away just narrowly as they focus more on each other until eventually the fight breaks off. Both parties are wounded and broken, but not dead, and they slink away to their respective parts of the island. The Distortus looks out and roars at his lost bounty, and their survivors look in awe as they slowly leave the island, knowing they survived the deadly jungle. And then they look at shitty CGI dolphins. And there you have it. That is my rewritten version of Jurassic World Rebirth. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you want to impale me on a spike? Well, get in line and get in the comments and let me know. Overall, I had a lot of fun making this video. It was quite the hassle to make though. A lot of stuff's been going on behind the scenes, both just in my private life, things like medical things and just timing and things like that, but also I actually recorded this video twice and both times it corrupted, so third time's the charm. Let's hopefully make sure that this damn thing gets made, because I'm really, really, really proud of it. If you guys liked the video, please let me know. Comment about what you think the series will go in terms of its direction, its sort of new kind of era that we're in. I really don't script outros, I probably should. But yeah, did you guys enjoy my little take? If you did, let me know what you think. If you have any spark notes or anything like that, let me know. If you like the artwork in the video, you can follow me on my socials, Twitter, Instagram, DeviantArt, Tumblr. I'm on those. I try and post there as frequently as possible, but again, I get distracted quite easily as well, so we'll see how that goes. Though most of the artwork in this video should be up on those different platforms by time of upload. I'm going to be working on a bunch of different videos come the future and stuff like, extinct species, ecology, things like that. I'll still be drawing. I'll still try and, make things goofy and make them fun. You'll be seeing more of my actual face, probably. So if you enjoy that or you want to stick around and see some more of that, please subscribe and let me know.
Hey, editing Dooder here. By the way, shout out to my boys, TheWorldMaker. He was doing his own Spectember prompt list, and it was a blast to do. So go check out his submissions and everyone else's submissions that did the prompt list. It was a lot of fun to do, and he's a great guy. He's awesome. So go check him out. And shout out to my boy CheeseCerato. He also participated in the Spectember prompt list made by TheWorldMaker. He's an amazing artist. He's a really chill dude as well. And currently right now, his entire country just went through a political upheaval and they overthrew the government. Yeah. So, go support him. He's currently going through it right now, and I hope everything goes well with him. So yeah, just shout out to my two boys over there, and yeah, that's it.
Thanks so much for watching again. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day, y'all.